It's like for every 5 expert martial artists, there's one anthropomorphic jumping bean or boxing velociraptor. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 what the characters in fighting games.
I am overflowing with charisma, setting hearts ablaze!
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the most bizarre characters across fighting games. Trust us, there were a lot of characters for us to consider, maybe too many than there should be.
It's over.
Number 10, Megaman, Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
I'm strong, you lose!
We'd always be down to see Megaman in a fighting game, but this was not what we had in mind. Rather than stick with the Blue Bomber's original design, or any other design for that matter, Street Fighter Cross Tekken chose the box art version of Megaman. And oh boy, he's seen better days. We understand this was referencing the original box art, but Megaman with a dad bod was something we could go through life without seeing. At least we got to see our robot buddy in his classic appearance when he made his way to Smash Bros.
No time to relax!
Before we continue, if you're a fan of epic games and want one on the go, be sure to check out Vikings War of Clans. Vikings War of Clans was inspired by top PC strategy and RPG games of the 90s like Age of Empires 2 and Command & Conquer that we were all crazy about. If you want to relive these memories once again and get a new experience, this mobile game with amazing graphics is what you need. Vikings gives you an option to choose your own playstyle, which is great indeed. What makes Vikings World so addictive is that more than 20 million online players are constantly changing the way the game evolves by never-ending fighting over resources, forging new alliances, and competing in live events. Download Vikings for free from our links in the description and get the special bonus of 200 gold coins and a protective shield. Alright, back to the list. Number 9, Hakan, Street Fighter series.
My goodness! How many years has it been? So, what are you doing out here anyway?
Have you ever looked at the Street Fighter roster and thought, where's the love for oil wrestling? Enter Hakan, whose passion for oil wrestling isn't the primary reason he's on this list. I mean, just take a look at him. He's practically a walking block that glistens in the light with his cotton candy blue hair. At least the man hasn't missed a single leg day by the looks of it. We thought Blanca and Birdie were the weirdos of the cast, but Hakan's sense of style looks like he couldn't decide between a night at the local fair or God of War.
This is the first step on my way to becoming the oil king of a new land!
Number 8, Roger and Roger Jr., Tekken series. Tekken is no stranger to having bizarre characters on its roster. Seriously, we're talking about a franchise that has had bears, mannequins, and a cartoon dinosaur as playable characters. Of them all, Roger has to be the absolute strangest. It's not because he's a boxing kangaroo, which isn't a new concept, but because he's just kind of there. Roger's story doesn't go further beyond being a genetic experiment of the Mishima Zaibatsu. Eventually, he raises a family, teaches Roger Jr. how to fight, is caught in an affair, and... wait, isn't this series supposed to be about Heihachi, Kazuya, and Jin having family issues and throwing each other off cliffs or something? Whatever. Number 7, Phoenix Wright, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Looks like I won the case, Maya.
In a game filled with superhumans, mystical creatures, and expert martial artists, the last person we'd expect to see in a party like this would be a lawyer. When glancing over the cast of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Phoenix Wright sticks out like bird poo on a sports car.
I was submit thee, I will submit thee, I will submit thee, I will submit thee.
How could a character like the Ace Attorney face off against powerful forces like Ghost Rider, Strider, and Nemesis T-Type? Well, apparently, all Phoenix has to do is point his finger, make accusations, and present evidence. Surprisingly, this type of moveset leads to the funniest hyper combo in the game.
Objection overruled!
Number 6, Mocap, Mortal Kombat series.
Round 1. Fight!
Mortal Kombat has seen quite a number of strange characters join the roster. Does anyone remember Meat? However, Mocap is the fighter that made us ask, what the f***? He's nothing more than a motion capture artist who is trying to find his way back to Earthrealm. That's it! The guy doesn't even have his own fatalities. Look man, Johnny Cage is the only show business dude who's integral to the Mortal Kombat story. If you aren't bringing anything special to the table, like your own set of moves, or playing an important role in the plot, then why are you even here?
Mocap wins. Flawless victory.
Number 5, Baby Bonnie Hood, Darkstalkers series. With characters like a half-naked cat lady, an Australian zombie, and a cosmic being made of fire, you'd think a series like Darkstalkers couldn't get any weirder. Well, get a load of Baby Bonnie Hood, who is basically Red Riding Hood with a bloodthirsty killer personality and an affinity for Uzis. Next to the rest of the cast, BB Hood looks like the black sheep with her innocent appearance, with the other fighters following a more consistent color scheme and art style. Hey, if it's extremely outrageous, it must belong in Darkstalkers, right? Number 4, Fred Durst, Fight Club. Everyone knows that the first rule of Fight Club is to never talk about Fight Club. But does anyone remember what Rule 2 is? Anyone? That's right. Always make sure Fred Durst is at Fight Club. Wait, what? Hey, we're just as surprised as you are. What in the world is the lead singer of Limp Bizkit doing in a game based off Fight Club? We suppose it makes sense since Durst referenced the movie in Living It Up. Still, it's odd that the reference would warrant a guest appearance, but then again, we've seen stranger guest characters. Number 3, Shaquille ONeal, Shaq Fu. Speaking of celebrities, why does Shaquille ONeal have his own fighting game? Sorry, but we're having a really hard time believing somebody like Shaq is some badass martial artist who can flip through the air and land roundhouse kicks. That's like imagining Michael Jordan and Blake Griffin hanging out with the Looney Tunes. Oh wait, that actually happened. Reputation aside, there's just something odd about watching martial artists getting their butts handed to them by a dude in a basketball uniform. Although, it couldn't be any less embarrassing than being the star of 2 terrible fighting games. Number 2, Mr. Game & Watch, Super Smash Bros. Series. Don't get us wrong, we enjoy playing as Mr. Game & Watch, but we have to admit he looks a little out of place in the roster. Even when standing next to cartoony characters like Mario or detailed fighters like Snake, Mr. Game & Watch's incredibly basic design and 2-dimensional appearance make him the strangest of the Smash Bros. Cast. On top of that, his moveset is a little unorthodox in comparison to the other fighters. Bug spray, a judge's hammer, a steaming bucket of oil. Doesn't matter what he uses, we're launching his flat butt off the stage. Number 1, Hornets Fighters Mega Mix.
Ready, go!
Of any fighting game to ever exist, Fighters Megamix takes the crown for having the weirdest roster. On top of characters like Bean the Dynamite, Renter Hero, and Mr. Meat, Fighters Megamix has the glorious guest fighter Hornet from Daytona, USA. No, it doesn't just speed through opponents and do donuts. Hornet actually uses its tires to punch and kick. After taking enough damage, Hornet loses its hood and changes fighting styles. Why is a sentient car even in this game? We suppose it didn't want to end up like the Street Fighter cars, but we won't hesitate to make that happen. Bring it, you living piece of junk. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.